I can tell you, I also spoke as co-chairman of Disney, the boss, Jimmy Pitaro, who made it very, very clear we are taking this matter very seriously.
But I'm not going to change my personality. Ain't nobody, they can't fire me. I make too much money to get fired. So they can't fire me.
Charles Barkley is tearing up the rule book at ESPN, and Shannon Sharpe can't stand it. Chuck's out here flexing a fat $210 million deal, doing whatever he wants while brushing off extra appearances like they're nothing. He's even daring ESPN to fire him while Shannon's stuck watching it all, cut from the same network after that scandal. Shannon's heated, calling out ESPN for letting Barkley slide. Meanwhile, he's tangled up in lawsuits, dealing with strict morality clauses, and a boss breathing down his neck every day. But Chuck, he's not worried one bit. He's throwing shade back at Shannon, showing him exactly where he stands and letting him know who's really in control behind those closed doors. Why does Charles get a free ride while Shannon got tossed out? Let's break it down. Charles recently dropped some wild comments on Outkick with Dan Dakich sending shots at ESPN while collecting their checks. He straight up said he's not talking about the Lakers, even if ESPN's signing his paychecks, and they can either deal with it or leave.
Two different radio national shows, and I said, I don't want to talk about LeBron James every freaking day, or Brett Favre, or Aaron Rodgers, or all the bullshit you got to talk about. I don't want to do that every day. Now you're going to ESPN, and you've been critical of ESPN, particularly their coverage of the Lakers. What are your thoughts as this is your last season heading over?
Yeah, Dan, I'm not going to change. I'm going to do what I want to do. Nobody's going to tell me what to say or what to do. I thought I get upset. They're like, the Lakers are contenders. I'm like, no, they're not. They're not contenders. You know, Kendrick Perkins, who don't know his ass from a hole in the wall. He's like, the Lakers are contenders. Lakers are contenders. And I said, they're not contenders.
Most people in Chuck's shoes would say whatever their bosses wanted just to keep that comfy job. But Chuck, he's chilling because ESPN can't afford to let him go. If there's a winner here, it's definitely Chuck, and he knows it too well. Chuck even said, ain't nobody, they can't fire me. I make too much money to get fired, so they can't fire me. First of all, if they fire me, they got to pay me for 7 years, and I'm going to quit way before then. But if they want to fire me, I would love for them to do that. The only decision we've been making is how long I'm going to work. I'm not worried about getting fired, and nobody at ESPN is going to tell me what to say or do. Period. That's the energy Charles Barkley is bringing, and he's not playing around. Back in 2022, Chuck locked in a monster 10-year, $210 million deal to be the voice of the best basketball pregame and postgame show out there.
Charles Barkley has reportedly agreed to a 10-year deal with TNT that's estimated to be worth over $100 million. Let's be honest, Barkley is arguably one of the most popular sports studio analysts out there, and he's in a landscape where salaries for sportscasters have just changed dramatically over the years. And if TNT were to let him go, it'd just be terrible, just terrible.
And with these mega contracts, the money is guaranteed, no matter what. So firing Chuck just because he's doing things his way isn't even on the table for ESPN, unless they want to cough up $210 million for him to chill at home. To make it wilder, Chuck isn't even about grinding at a desk until he's in his 70s.
For me personally, I wanted you guys to hear from me because I'm not doing any more interviews. Don't y'all be calling me. Nobody calling me. I'm not talking about this again, but I want to tell my NBA and NBA TV and TNT family that I'm not going to another network, but I'm going to pass the baton to either Jamal Crawford or Vince Carter or you, Steve. But next year, I'm going to just retire after 25 years, and I just want to say thank you.
He's looking to retire and live it up while folks at ESPN like Stephen A. Smith and even Shannon Sharpe keep hustling, hoping to lock in that next big contract when their current deals run out. Those guys can't afford to tick off the bosses if they want to keep the checks coming. Earlier this year on NBA TV, Chuck had everyone's jaws dropping when he said, I ain't going nowhere other than TNT, but I have made the decision myself that no matter what happens next year is going to be my last year on television. And nah, he's not bluffing to squeeze out bigger deals. Chuck already let it slip that he's talked to other networks, but he's not looking to sign with anyone else.
You know, there's been a lot of noise around our network the last few months. And I just want to say, I've talked to all the other networks, but I ain't going nowhere.
He's got nothing to lose in this game. When he sat down on Outkick recently, his vibe hadn't changed one bit. Chuck shared that he's been chatting with the network about how long he'll keep working, but technically he still has 7 years left on that fat contract. But let's be real, Chuck made it clear there's no way he's sticking around to finish out those 7 years.
The only decision we've been making is how long I'm gonna work. And I've been going back and forth with TNT for the last 2 months, whether I'm gonna work 2 years or 3 years. But if I really wanted to, I could stay for 7 years, which there's no chance of that happening. Zero.
Remember, if ESPN tries to fire Chuck before his contract's up, they'll have to cut him a check for the full amount. That's a $210 million headache just waiting to happen. Barkley's already said he's not interested in popping up on Get Up, First Take, SportsCenter, or any of ESPN's other shows once he slides in. It would have been the natural move for ESPN since they're licensing inside the NBA next season now that TNT lost its NBA rights. And you know ESPN would want to get their money's worth by throwing Chuck on every show they can. But Chuck, he's not having it. He's made it clear he doesn't want to be working nonstop, and to make it even spicier, he's not hyped about sharing the screen with Stephen A. Smith or Kendrick Perkins. And let's not forget, Chuck once said Perkins can't tell the difference between a hole in the wall and his own booty hole. So yeah, don't hold your breath waiting to see those two sitting side by side. Safe to say, Chuck's a handful for ESPN, bending the rules and getting away with it. And if anyone's salty about it, it's Shannon Sharpe. This is the same network that dropped him over a lawsuit, so you know Shannon's feeling some type of way seeing Chuck live life on easy mode. Word on the street is Shannon even had some words ready for Chuck. But before Shannon goes full Karen, he needs to face the truth. They're not on the same level. Chuck's star power is on a different planet, and that's just the reality. According to the New York Times, ESPN might be dropping $6.5 million a year on Shannon just to argue with Stephen A. Smith 2 days a week on First Take. But let's be real, he's not important enough for ESPN to ride with him through a messy public civil suit involving a woman who's barely old enough to legally drink. And it's not just about star power either. Disney's all about business and making sure they don't play themselves when they bring in new talent. They'll protect the bag if it's worth it. And in this case, Chuck's worth every penny to them. Disney doesn't play when it comes to that morality clause in their contracts. It's like a silent trap waiting to snap, letting Disney kick out any talent if their behavior embarrasses the brand or damages its image. And trust, the higher-ups know exactly what they're doing, using vague words like public disrepute, humiliation, or scandal so they can drop people like Shannon whenever they want. And to keep it real, Shannon did mess up big time. Disney didn't just fire him for nothing. The man is 56, and he was out here messing around with a 19-year-old. Let's not forget, Shannon's been in the game for decades. And you'd think someone on his team would have told him to have the girl sign an NDA or something. You'd think he would have moved smarter after that Instagram fiasco last year when the whole internet ended up with a front row seat to his bedroom drama, but nope. Let's be honest, Disney's not known for letting scandals blow up under their watch. So of course they handled the problem fast, and it looks like it's permanent. According to an insider, Shannon might already be banned from the network. Meanwhile, another source is saying there's buzz going around that Shannon Sharpe's career at ESPN is done. I reached out to a source close to ESPN production, and they told me he's still on First Take Mondays and Tuesdays. So those days he's missing, just scheduled days off, nothing more. But it's not looking good for him because even Stephen A. Smith confirmed he had a sit down with Disney's CEO. And the CEO is taking Shannon's scandal very seriously.
I can tell you, I also spoke to co-chairman of Disney, the boss, Jimmy Pitaro, who made it very, very clear we are taking this matter very seriously. And we are looking into this very, very closely.
Shannon can be mad at the network all he wants, but let's be real. he wasn't exactly making friends at work. Word is, he was accused of choking a female production assistant at Fox Sports before that $50 million legal mess even started, according to one source. It allegedly went down while he was co-hosting Undisputed between 2016 and 2023, and it's wild he didn't get fired for it. Instead, Shannon and Fox reportedly settled with the accuser for several $100,000 to keep it quiet. Of course, a rep for Shannon tried to shut the story down, saying there was no choking incident involving him on the FS1 set. The rep said it was just light physical interaction in a playful context with some colleagues, and Fox decided to handle it privately. They told people to contact Fox directly for more details, but fans aren't that quick to believe PR reps when it comes to stories like this. What's even crazier is that Fox didn't fire Shannon on the spot for the accusations. But that's just how this industry moves. Honestly, Disney and ESPN could have decided to keep him on even with his legal issues, but that would have sparked chaos. Former SportsCenter anchor Sage Steele wasn't quiet about how ESPN handled the whole situation either. She called out the broken system on X, posting about how there's a long list of times ESPN and Disney saw having conservative views as a bigger crime than having questionable character. She was responding to a tweet that said ESPN didn't renew contracts for women with conservative views, or they just silenced them. Sage wasn't afraid to let people know how she really felt about the way Disney and ESPN pick and choose who gets protected and who gets thrown out. Just putting it out there. Shannon's had multiple questionable run-ins involving women, and people aren't forgetting that. Former ESPN employee Ashley Brewer-Kaminsky even jumped in, posting, "Never forget when I got chewed out by my boss for posting a pic of a Republican congressman and UFC fighter on my Instagram story at the McGregor fight. LOLFYI. The network is strict about keeping politics off the air, and they don't play about it." Sage Steele was actually suspended just for criticizing the company's COVID vaccine mandate. And let's be real, compared to Shannon's situation, that seems like a petty reason to boot someone. If Disney had decided to keep Shannon around, it would have turned into chaos, with ex-employees lining up at their door ready to drop lawsuits for wrongful termination. It was honestly in Disney and ESPN's best interest to cut Shannon loose before things got messier. But Barkley, he doesn't come with any of these headaches. Yeah, he's stressing out the higher-ups with all his retirement talk and doing things his way. But compared to Shannon, Chuck's on good behavior. Shannon's replaceable in their eyes, but Chuck, he's not. That's why even Stephen A. Smith, who vouched for Shannon, wasn't shocked when Disney let him go. Stephen A. said, when the news came down that he and ESPN had mutually agreed that he would need to come off the airwaves of ESPN, it was a blow to the show, a blow to me personally because I'm going to miss him. But it was not a surprise. He was working at Disney, and trust me, I've been around Disney since 2003, so I know how this empire moves. ESPN is the worldwide leader for a reason. And at the end of the day, Charles is out here bending the rules however he wants and getting away with it. Shannon can be mad, but before he does something that's going to embarrass him for life, he needs to sit down and do some real self-reflection. Because honestly, he only got what he brought on himself. But what do you think? Does Shannon have a right to be mad, and is he going to come for the network or even Charles? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share if you want more deep dives into the drama behind your favorite sports figures. Smash that notification bell so you don't miss what's next, and I'll catch you in the next one.